important for this thing that I want to teach you in maths. Okay, let me quickly write. Everybody, look at this. Okay, so what I want you to do, so that you understand why I'm teaching you this, it's similar. It's like the same as what we did for last week when we were doing angles for Elang. So everybody, listen. Okay, we are building up our maths, but what we are going to try to do is I'm going to try and do the things that you guys are doing at school, all of you. So if you have something you're doing at school that is giving you problems, you tell me and then I make it part of our maths lessons and I teach you. I'll just make sure I explain to everybody what they are learning so that you all understand. So here we know that what we are doing is IGCSE maths. But there are certain topics that we are not doing right now that we'll all do next year. But all of you, there are certain topics that you are all doing right now because you have started IGCSE, but you are not writing this year. So that means you won't do certain things. But there are certain things that you will all be doing. So everyone, listen closely so you understand what we are doing. I want people who understand what you're doing. So this year and next year, by the time you get to this time next year, you must be done with maths. You must be done with the whole IGCSE maths. And for us to say you are done, that means you should do 4 sections because IGCSE maths is 4 sections. And those are the ones that all of you are doing at your school right now. You are doing somewhere in these 4 sections. Everyone in your classes at all your schools, you are somewhere in these 4 sections. Section 1 is called number. And this is where you find ratio and proportion, bounds, percentages, time calculations, interest, all these things. Then there's the second one which we are working on as well, which is algebra. Okay? There's the second one which we are working on very hard, which is algebra. There's a lot of stuff that I'm coming back to here. Then we have the third one as well, which is shape and space. In algebra, this is where you do with equations, inequalities, factorization, expansion, graphs, all those things you deal with them in equations. Okay? You deal with those things in equations. And there are things that you're going to do next year. Things like completing the square, whatever. But we know that we do subject of the formula. Okay? You do factorization and expansion. Then you do equations, then and inequalities, then you do graphs, then you do differentiation, then you do completing the square. Okay? You do completing the square. All these things are part of algebra. Okay? There's a lot. The subject of the formula and everything. But listen closely and you see, okay, one of you, there's a reason I'm going. What I'm going to do is something that I got from one of you, right? So, of course, I won't say the name because I want all of you to just learn. What I want you to do is to learn. We are one team and I want you all to learn. What we are doing today, we know that maths has 4 sections. So if I come to you anytime and I ask you, how many sections is the whole maths? Like the whole thing called maths. You say, sir, it's 4. Okay, and you must know where you are struggling. Are you struggling with section 1 or with section 2 or with section 3 or with section 4? You haven't done section 4, so don't worry about it. Section 4 is probability. It's probability and statistics. Probability and stats. You haven't done it, so don't worry about it. This is section 4. You have not done it. Of course, you will do it at some point. Right. But section 3, section 2 is there. Section 3 is there. A lot of you are in section 3, and this is where I want to talk about today. The lesson that I want to teach you all. So I always explain before I tell you before I start. So listen here. In this is where we have angles. Okay, we did angles last time, a little bit of it, where we were doing angles inside a shape, and we called them interior angles. The word interior means inside. Okay, when you do angles, you do a lot of things. You do angles in a circle, then you do angles on parallel lines. You do angles on parallel lines. Angles on parallel lines, I'll teach you. I promise, don't worry. Because one of it is so important for the topic we are doing today. Angles on parallel lines, They help you to be able to do, when you do angles on parallel lines, they help you to do a topic we are doing today called bearing. You do angles in a circle, then you do angles on parallel lines. That is where you meet the word corresponding, alternate. These will be parallel lines. So I'm going to explain so that you know the whole maths. The whole maths. I don't want you to have a problem with anything. Right. Now, then we have these angles. We're going to have also angles in polygons. This is what we were doing last week. Angles in polygons. Right. I'll give you a lot more questions on this. Now, this is not where it ends. You also do in this chapter bearing, and you do a lot more. You do trigonometry. Bearing is also part of trig, but we can separate it to say trigonometry, where you do Pythagoras theorem, SOHCAHTOA, and this is where you do transformations. To those who have started, maybe you haven't done them, maybe you have done them. And this is also where you do vectors, and this is also where you do mensuration, which is areas and volume and the total surface area and all these things. You do them in this chapter. Are you seeing, students? So what we are doing is in unit 3. We have 4 units. We are looking at unit 3, and we are trying to understand this thing called bearing. So that is what we are doing today, okay? We're going to do all these things that you're seeing on the screen and a lot more. But today we are starting with this thing called bearing. Do you hear me? Everybody, are you hearing me? All right. So, right, we are working on this thing called bearing. And I want you to know that it is also called 3-figure bearing. It's called 3-figure bearing. Do you hear me? What is it called? 3-figure bearing. Right. Let me explain something to do with this chapter so that you know where it's hard, and we do a lot of questions, then I give you those to try. Listen closely. There are things that I do not expect you not to know. For you to be good at bearing, you must know that first I want to give you the rules of bearing first. Rules that you must never ever break. Rules of bearing. And then I'm going to tell you things that you use in this chapter. There are things that you must already know for you to be good at this chapter. So first I'll give you the rules. Then I'll give you the things that you must make sure you already know. Then I'm going to do the questions with you guys. So listen, when I want to find the bearing, I want to find how I can move from one place to go to another. This is what pilots are using. Bearing. How do you come from one location to another? Now, for you to know how to come from one location to another, there has to be a line that joins. So let's say they give you A and B like this. Then they ask you, find bearing of B from A. They can say that, okay? B from A. So find bearing of B from A. Now, listen closely, everybody. Don't let me down. The first thing you always do when you are trying to do bearing is you must make sure that the two places that have been mentioned are joined. I want to see a line joining the two places that we are dealing with. There is B and there is A. Those are the two places I'm dealing with, so there must be a line that joins them. A straight line. If it's not there, you have to put it. Okay? I don't know why it's not doing the shape. No, I don't want an arrow. I just want a line. All right. So if it's not there, then you have to put it. Then now, here you have put it. Now what you then do, there's a line which is joining. The line which joins is there. Now you see where we are starting from. So this thing called bearing, okay, to find bearing, I want to write down things so that I don't just use my mouth. To find bearing, okay, comma, either you, one, measure, or two, you calculate. So to find bearing, either you are going to measure or you're going to calculate. Are we together? You're going to measure bearing or you're going to calculate bearing. Right. When you're measuring bearing, you're going to be using a protractor. This is easy. So what you will do is you go where you are starting from. It says from. So here are the rules. Rules for bearing. Rules for bearing. Rule number 1. Always measure from the north. I don't want to see any bearing which is not measured from the north. It's easy, don't make it hard. So I want to find how I move from A to B. There must be a north somewhere. Either at A or at B, I want to see the north. I'll teach you how to put the north. But the north must be there. Because when you are doing bearing, you must always make sure you measure from the north. Are we together? Students, are we together? All right. So when I'm measuring, I should always start at the north. Either at A or at B. Right. Number 2. Measure like a watch. So you must measure it clockwise. Measure clockwise. This is the second rule. It only has 3 rules. Measure clockwise. So you start at the north. So there must be a north. Either at A or at B, there must be a north. Then you measure clockwise from that north, which will either be at A or at B. You measure clockwise. We don't go anti-clockwise. No. We need to move like a watch. For bearing, we have to move like a watch. Then the third thing, always use 3 figures. Always put 3 figures, 3 things. So basically, if it's an answer that is less than 100, you say 0.99 degrees. You measure, if you find 99 degrees, you write it as 0.99. If you find 5 degrees, it's 0.05 degrees. But if it's 120, you just write 120. This is how you write answers. 3 digits. I want to see 3 digits, please. And remember, for you to get this answer, you're either going to calculate it or you're going to measure it. But always it will be starting from the north. So we come here now. Let's do this. We start with the measuring one because it's the easy one. All right. We start with the measuring one and we'll see some things. If they say, find B from A. Now let's start. So we know that bearing is measured from the north. But the north, you always put that north where you are starting. So here they said from A. So that means we are going to A and we put the north. The north is just a straight line which faces up. Do you hear me? The north is just a straight line which faces up like this. This is the north. So you do it like this and you say north. This is your north. Why did you put it at A? Because they said B from A. So this is easy. Listen to what I said, okay? I don't want to make it sound like I said a lot of things. I didn't say a lot of things. Listen, everybody. I said to do bearing, we cannot forget about doing bearing if you don't have a line which joins your 2 places. So here I have B and I have A. I need a line which joins the two places. Then I need to know where I'll put my north, because bearing is measured from the north. You put your north where it says from. Here it says from A. So that's where we put our north. Then we just go clockwise until we hit from north, until we hit the line which joins the two places. This is going to be the angle they are looking for. So they are looking for this angle here. This is the angle they are looking for. This is the angle they are looking for, students. This one, X. This is the angle they are looking for. So for this type of angle, it's easy. You bring your protractor, which is something that looks like this. Are we together? Yes. This is an easy one. For your protractor, you just come and this is the angle that you, yes, this is an easy one. You come, you put your protractor nicely. You come, you put your protractor nicely. Then you'll be able to see what angle this is. Are you seeing? Can you all see? Yes. Or you can even put it like this. Wait. This is a very easy angle. I mean, okay, I wish I had a protractor that I could show you. This is a very easy angle. You can just find it, okay? You find that angle. I'll teach you. But this is an easy angle because you measure it. Look at where it starts to get complicated now. Let me help you and then show you other questions they will do. Let's say they now say the bearing of A from B. So they say the bearing of A from B. Now, we need to make, sometimes they'll already give you the notes. Okay, they'll be nice to you. They'll give you the notes at B, at A, and at B. So you see a line like this. This is the north. Here is another north. Right. All right, so these are norths, lines that face up. Now, we want to find bearing. So we know the secret. It's not even hard. We start from the north, and the angle should be from the north until you hit the slanted one. From the north, don't start where you want. You start from the north, where the question says from. So this question says from B. So we are starting at the north, which is at B. And we are going clockwise until we hit the slanted line which joins the two places. This is the bearing they want, this one. This is the bearing they want. This is the answer they want when they ask you for bearing. This is the answer they want. So now, let me train you now. This is when you have to do some calculations. This is when you have to do some calculations. Okay, there are many calculations. Number one, you must know that this x plus the angle you get in here, y, they should give you 360. So let's say you know this one inside. You can get the bearing, which is the angle you want, by saying this x, the outside, is 360 degrees minus y. So let's just put it out there. 360 degrees is the whole thing. Okay? It's the whole thing. Now, we can get this part of Peter, this y, we can get it, which means we can remove it from 360, then we will know what x is. That's number one for bearing calculations. 360 minus the inside one will give you the bearing which you need. One more thing that I want all of you to know is something which you learn when you do parallel lines. Right? What you must know is that when you have any type of bearing, okay, I think I'll just say it without explaining so that I don't over explain. I don't care what type of bearing you have. This is X. This is Y. I want you to know whatever type of bearing that you may have. These two angles, X and Y, they add to give you 180. So if I can find this bearing, I will now need this one. But it's not the answer also. Let's say the bearing you really wanted is this one. Okay? Let's say this is the bearing you really wanted. So I'll call this A, then this I'll call X. Let's say the bearing which you really wanted is the outside one. Now what you're going to do, you are going to say, everybody look here. You're going to say, first of all, measure this one. Okay, we are not yet calculating. This one we measure. Measure it. All right, now that you have it, to get this one, they are inside angles. They add to give you 180. So to get Y, you say 180 minus A. Then you will have Y. Why am I doing that? Because the two inside angles add to give you 180. But now you have this one. But guess what? It's not a bearing. Thank you for finding it. But it's not a bearing. The real bearing is going to be from north going clockwise till it gets there. This is the one. So how will you find it? You will say X, the one you actually want, will be now 360 degrees minus the answer you would have found here, minus Y. So don't try to cut corners. You are going to need to do 2 steps. You need to measure 3 steps. You measure the A, then you say 180 minus it to get Y. That's the second step. Then to now get X, you do the third step, which is now 360 minus Y. Don't cut corners, and you're going to have your bearing. Okay, let's go to some questions. There are so many questions, but the things don't change. Let me do it like this. Let me start with, I'll start with this one. Then I'll do the other questions that I've made for you. So look at this. Okay? Don't worry. Slow down. Slow down. Here they're saying, they gave you this triangle, blah, blah, blah. Read the question. Okay? I want you to know this. Everybody listen. Bearing questions, a lot of the times, they'll put them mixed up with triangles. But that doesn't affect us. That doesn't affect us in any way at all. That doesn't affect us. Let's go to this question and see. Find the bearing of town C from where? Students, where are we starting from? Students, where are we starting from? They say town C from where? From town B. So where is our north? Our north is at town B, right? Because that's where we're starting from. So we go to B. Oh, they've already put the north for us. Yes. Do we have a line which joins B and C? Yes, because it's C here and B here. We need a line which joins them. There is the line. Now we know the bearing. To get bearing, we go clockwise. So we want this one. This is the value which we want. Can you see it? Are you seeing it? All right. Now, Let's put this information which they had given us before we go. They had said bearing of B from A is this. So let's go to A. We put this. Then we are just writing what they've given us, the information. Bearing of B from A. So we need a line which joins A and B. We put a north at A because they had said from A. So that's where we put the north at A. We put the north at A because that's where we are measuring from. And it's linking B and A. Now you can go clockwise. So this is the one which is 48 degrees. That's what they say. Have you seen that? Have you seen that? I've written down the information they've given us. Have you seen that? Now, can I ask you, students, with this 48 degrees, what can we find based on what we just learned? What can we find if we use this 48 degrees? We can find this x. Okay, let's call this. We can find this y, isn't it? Can't we find the y? Students, can't we find the y? What did I say about the two inside angles? The two inside angles, this one and this one, A and B. What do? They add to give you 180, right? Didn't I say that? That they add to give you 180. So they didn't give you 48 for nothing. You can't just say 48 and stop there. Use the 48 to put everything which you can find. Then you can continue with the question. Because they gave you the information. Don't ignore it. So I put the 48 nicely. I have trained you. I've shown you that when you do bearing, you see where they say from. Here it's saying from town A. So the north is at A. Then it is joining B and A. So we put a line which joins A and B, but the north is at A. Then we go clockwise, which is like this. Then we see here they gave us the answer. They did not ask us to look for it. So it's 48 degrees, which means I know I can find this one. I can call it Y. What I'll do here, I'll come and I'll say Y is equal to 180 degrees minus 48. Yes, if you're dealing with as bearing, then you get what? 132 degrees, right? So this, we know that you can remove it with a pencil. You can say that this is 132 degrees. Now, what do you know about an entire circle? It adds to give you 360. So that means you will now say, to get x, I'll say 360 minus, is this 32, by the way? It's 32, right? 132. All right. So it'll be 360 minus, you put these two, this 103 and this 132, minus 103 plus 132. What do you get as your answer? What is the final solution? To get this one. What is that final solution? Punch in the calculator, please. Punch, students. What is the answer? $125. Do you see now where you get the 125, the real correct one? Do you see? Okay. Let's see another one. Here now they're saying find the bearing of B from C. let's go back to the question. B from C. We go back to the question, to the diagram. They said B from town C. Where do we put our north? Don't let me down here. Where do we put our north if they ask this? If they say town B from town C, where are we putting our north? Town C, because where it says from town C, so this is where we put our north. So you go to town C, you have your north like this. Then they said town B from town C. So we need a line which joins B and C, yes? Then we are going to go clockwise. They want B from C, so it's this one. We go clockwise like that. And we can call it our new X. Here we have already found it to be 125 degrees. So once you get an answer, you must put it, okay? With your pencil. You erase what you have, you put the new answer. So to make sure you put the new answer, once you get an answer, remove the letters and put the new answer. Are we together? So here now we have this X. We want to find this X. How many steps did I say you follow? I said first you need to make sure you have this one. Then you need to make sure you get this one here. We'll call it Y if we want. We'll call it Y. How do you get this one? I said this one and this one add to give you 180 because they are inside angles. So you're going to say to get this Y, you say Y is equal to 180 degrees minus 125 degrees, which is this one. Then you'll be able to get Y. Y will be equal to, what is 180 minus 125? $55, eh? Okay, so we are still in calculations. That's why I'm not putting a 0. Now, to get X, you say X will be equal. We said they add to give you 360. It's a full circle. So you now say 360 minus 55, which means X is 305 degrees. There we go. That's going to be the bearing. Do you understand? Okay. Don't let me down. Don't let me down. Please, 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 please. Don't change. Don't change. Remember, the secret in bearing is 1. The inside angles for each thing give you 180. So when you have 1, you can get the other. And also, the complete thing is 360. So you'll be just using that and using that and using that and using that. Like here we had 125. Why should we stop there? We can find this one. Because 125 and this one are inside angles together. And we know that inside angles together give you 180. They are called allied angles. So I'm calling them inside angles just to make it easy. These two, when you have two angles inside something, we call them inside angles or allied angles. So you would say, Y, I can easily get you. 180 minus 125, you get your Y. Now that you have your Y, you will remove it and put 55 degrees because you have found it. Now to find that Y, you will now say X minus 55 degrees. Okay, 360 minus 55 will give us the X, and that is how it goes. Okay? Anyone with a question? Let's see the last question. Here. Can you see this? It's a separate question. Can you see that this is a number 10? It's a separate question from the other ones. Now let's see. The bearing of A from B. So is 130. So the first thing you need to do is draw these 2 points, A and B. Okay, and since we are starting from B, we are putting a north at B. This is a very correct diagram. If it's 100 and something, it means the B is up, the A is down. You need a line which joins them, the B and the A. Then you need your north. Then this will be your 137 degrees. This is the north. Okay, and here you should just put another north here. This is another north. So now here they've told you the bearing. Now they said find the bearing of B from A. So we now put a north at A. Then we go clockwise like this. This is the angle they want. This is the bearing they want, which is X. How many steps should we follow to get this one? B from A. That is why we started from A. We put the north at A. Then we went clockwise. Now it's your turn. Find the bearing of B from A. How do you find this X? First, you must find the inside one, right? Which you call Y. How do you find Y? Y will be equal to what? 180 degrees minus 137 degrees. Y will be equal to, what is the answer? 53 degrees. Right, now find the bearing. We now have Y. We know that this is 53. Now you say X will be equal to 360 degrees minus 53 degrees, which is equal to 307 degrees. Are we together? Is this hard? You can all do this, right? Let me give you a question. Wait, let me put the other one. Give me 1 second to give you the example. I'm just choosing the questions I want you to try out right now. Right. Everybody start with this one. Let me open it.